my right.
And wife of this wonderful gentleman to my left. Welcome, everyone, to this conversation on success. We are so thankful and grateful to have this opportunity to be able to share with you from our hearts all the information that we're about to unveil to you. One of the things we want to do first and foremost is to thank Organo for this opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Bernie Chua, his family. We've met on several occasions and they've always been gracious, very humble. And for Mr. Paul Caldwell, thank you so much for this opportunity. And all of our business partners around the world, thank you for chiming in. And I wanted to invite you to get to a very quiet place, get your pen and paper, write down as much as you can, and to be able to revisit what we share with you and to be able to learn and to grow from this.
Yeah.
So,
and I also like to thank you too. Well, welcome everyone on this conversation that we're going to have tonight. I hope you're able to take with you some extract from what we have to say tonight, and to build on that and to go out and be an ambassador for Organo like we are.
And we consider ourselves brand ambassadors because one of the things that you do as you continue to grow and to learn through Organo, you become a brand yourself. So you are carrying a responsibility to be able to share and to learn and to grow globally by sharing what we do, what we have in our hands, which is a valuable nugget. And so I want to share with you a little bit about our background. But first of all, I want to welcome each and every one of you who have chimed in through Zoom, who have chimed in through Facebook Live. And we want to give a shout out to each and every one of you. If you haven't done so as yet, I would like you to be able to put in your comments where you're joining us from and to say a quick hi to us. And to know that we have Organo family around the world, we feel truly, truly blessed. And so I'd like to maybe start off with doing that by asking my husband a question as to the journey that we had together as husband and wife. I wanted to ask you what your perspective when we first, I have my story, but I'm going to ask you, I'm going to ask you when we first saw this business. What were your thoughts?
Well, I'll be quite honest, and I've shared that with you. When we were invited to a meetup with her cousin who came up from Jamaica and said she wanted to meet with us and have a little business presentation, I was a little leery as to getting involved with anything because like many people, we've tried so many things. And we were kind of getting frustrated at trying things and not getting the right, I guess, guidance in the industry and not getting, the full story about, how to do business in this industry. My background as a business analyst, I knew about looking at key business indicators, looking at numbers and talking about numbers, how numbers represent, what the growth in the company, and not being able to transition that into this industry was kind of frustrating because I knew the industry had its potential and I knew that the potential was great, but understanding how do I apply myself, apply what I knew into the industry was that gap that I need to get over. And when we got invited to that meeting, I told my wife, we'll go out of respect to her cousin who, I respected because she was someone that did a lot in her life already. And being a director for a nonprofit organization, I said, you know what, let's go and take a look. But I said to my wife here, I said, but we're not getting involved.
Okay, so that's his part. So my part was, unfortunately, I'm smiling now, but back about 8 years ago, almost 9 years ago, my mindset was not on business. Was work, my hobbies, if I had time, as well as taking care of my aunt with my family. And now I have an aunt who passed some time ago, but she was like a second mother to us. And so in saying that, timing is key for everything, and you have to be aware of timing. And so for us, My husband, he's an analytical person and he looks at numbers and I'm like that too sometimes. But at that time, when this information was shared with me, keep in mind a few things. My aunt had just passed. We had just laid her to rest 3 weeks prior. She had an illness that took her in 2 years after retiring at 65 and dying at 67, 2 years. And I'm going to go back to that because it's very important you hear me when I say that you never put off things that you can do today because you don't know what tomorrow is going to present itself with. So she passed, and in that part, we're still in the grieving process, and I hadn't allowed myself to grieve. And someone shared with me a cup of coffee, and keep in mind, I didn't drink coffee. I love chocolate, but not coffee. So mocha was the ideal thing. And all I heard at that time was this amazing herb, which I'd never heard of in my life. And everything to me was like French. And so my husband and I, before we entered into the house, we made a pact that we're not going to sign up on anything. We're not going to agree to anything. We're just going to be cordial and we'll say thank you and move on. Well, for me, and some of you may know my story, the reason why I started Organo, and my husband's looking at me because he's hoping I'm not going to cry, was for my aunt. So many of you don't know the reason why I started Organo. And that was for my aunt. Because for me, for those 2 years she suffered, in her eyes, she never complained. But for me, she never asked why me, although her illness was taking her much faster than we anticipated. But we want to be saviors of our families, and we want to be able to help them as best as we can. And most of the times we are reactive versus proactive. And so for me, I looked, and nothing came. And Google was my best friend in those days. And I looked, and after she passed and we placed her to rest, someone shared this product with me, but I didn't hear anything but the testimony of that person who was sharing that with me about a situation they had with their heart. And all they did was switch their coffee, and they were able to have this amazing result from a follow-up with their doctor. Now, keep in mind, we're not making any health claims. I'm just sharing with you what was shared with me. And so moving forward now, we became passionate, but it took time. We became customers. We started having an experience. My husband, I'll share with you his story in a little bit. We were able to develop a passion because I said to myself, I couldn't help my aunt. I don't have a doctorate. I don't know anything about pharmaceuticals, but I knew that I had a strong love for my aunt. Her name is Althea, and she's my sister's, well, my namesake. My sister's her also Althea, but she was loved. And so for us to be able to have this devastation happen to us, for me, I wanted to know everything about this amazing herb. So when I started consuming it, my husband, my family, we developed this passion over time. And so our passion for health, for our family, evolved into a business. And so I wanted to share that with you because we have been with Organo for this period of time, and we think of ourselves as like bamboos, right?
Yeah.
So
8 years.
8 years, right? But in those 8 years, from not knowing anything to continually growing and learning and evolving. And that is how our company Organo is. They had a vision. Mr. Bernichua had a vision. He wanted it. He fostered it. He grew with his family who supported him. And in that, it evolved into a company that's today. And it's continually growing. And so I remember Mr. Paul Colwyn mentioned on one of our stages when we went to Expo and mentioning, that this company is beyond the pond of this small vision of this, what people actually see as an opportunity versus going out into the ocean. I'm paraphrasing, but the vision was made clear 12 years ago. We weren't a part of that. And vision was continually growing and evolving. And now this vision is actually expanding even more. So what I'm going to share with you, what Corn is going to share with you, is not just conversation on success, but different things to open up your eyes, to be able to see that there's a possibility that is endless. As long as you have your vision aligned with Organo and a vision with your family, and that actually allows you to grow and foster, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And also your spiritual growth as well.
That is very true. So we're very thankful for this opportunity. And what we want to do is to share some information with you. And again, for those of you who are joining, I want you to be encouraged to share this with your folks, your friends on Facebook. Share the link. Pass it forward. Let them be able to be a part of this. And so they too can learn and grow as you are learning and growing. And I have to apologize. Sometimes I get so excited, I speak so fast. And that's the Caribbean girl in me, right?
Yes.
Right. So I want to share with you and my husband and I, we're going to share some information with you. And it's in doing that, I like to follow along with that and to be able to get some nuggets from it. So the conversation on success is something that's near and dear to us because in every aspect of our lives, you have to have some type of conversation in order to grow.
And similar to what Kerry Ann said earlier, you know, Organo, when it was birthed, had the vision first, and from that vision, they set a goal, they set a plan, and then they took action. And the key to that is action. You know, we can have visions, we can have goals, we can set plan, but if we don't take the action necessary to achieve success, nothing's going to happen.
Very true.
Right? A lot of us, we do that constantly daily. We'll set a vision, we'll see the vision as to where we want to go. And you can look at it from this perspective. If I want to go for a walk and I look at down the road I want to go, the vision is down the road. And the goal is to get there. I can make a plan as to getting out of my house, walking down the street, you know, passing all the other homes to get where I'm going. But if I don't take the first step, which is the action, I will not get to where my vision is. And that's where I need to go to success. So on a daily basis, you have to plan and take action as to what you need to do to get to success. And, you know, that is something that we work on each day as a business partners, as life partners. Sometimes it can be challenging, I'll let you know, because we're two separate minds. And her vision sometimes doesn't align with my vision as to where I see myself going. And that's where we bounce, you know, we're sounding boards, we bounce off of each other. Some of us, we don't have that luxury of having someone to sound off to. So, you know, you got to find a quiet space, you know, review your goals, write it down, see where you want to go, and take the action necessary to get there.
Yes. And one of the things I wanted to mention about vision, your vision may be something, well, first of all, I'm going to step back a little bit. I want to mention to you that you may have a vision and you may be passionate about something. It doesn't necessarily have to be Organo, but for us, what we're sharing here is for Organo. And you may have a vision that comes to you, but there are people around you that is not their vision. So sometimes there may be a conflict where you are so excited that you have this vision and you want to see to fruition. And sometimes you confide in someone and that person cannot see what you're seeing. So sometimes it might be a little bit deterring. But if you keep that vision in your uppermost mind, especially if you have a visual mind like myself, you will be able to achieve that. And sometimes it might take a few months, it might take a year, it might take 10 years, it might take 20 years. But if that vision is tied to your purpose, then it will come to fruition. And sometimes we look at other people, their vision is coming through faster than yours, or you might be excelling more than them, but you have to stay true to yourself and true to your vision. And distractions are going to come in the form of many ways. It can come in the form of, you know, life, death, work, other opportunities that sometimes yours may seemingly not be working. And these are things that you have to keep in your uppermost mind, because your vision is tied to all these things that Cornel mentioned about. And success is not something that you're going to have like, this is it, this is a success. It's constantly evolving. And so this is one of our tips, is to identify what your vision is. And when we started, as Cornel mentioned, he had a different thought process as to why he saw this opportunity. And for me, it was through health. So be proactive with our family, with my family, especially when the death of my aunt was so new and fresh. And that vision evolved, right?
Yes, and my vision, even though Kerry Ann was on her aunt, My vision was on the money aspect. It didn't dawn on me till I took a look at the coffee industry. I was working in the corporate world, and I saw a lot of people, running around grabbing coffee. We had coffee runs. We would go on break, go down to have coffee. We had a Tim Hortons in the company, in the building where I worked. And for the first 3 months that coffee shop opened, they were the highest revenue in downtown Toronto. So you just go figure that it was just the employees buying coffee there, and it ranked in the most income for that location in downtown Toronto. So that kind of drew me. And then I started expanding my vision and looking around, and there was a coffee shop just a block before our building. There was a coffee shop halfway to the subway station. So in the vicinity of about less than a mile, you had like about 20 coffee suppliers. So that just showed me, wow, coffee is a big industry. So why am I not making something off that? And here came this opportunity. And then I started saying, you know what? Organo has something that none of these brands have, and that's health.
Healthier choice, right?
Yes.
So as I mentioned, before that, Cornel saw that part, and I worked in the same company for 18 years, but I'm a tea drinker. So for me, I didn't see that. And so think two different minds, seeing two different things and coming together for a common goal. So if you identify your vision, as it's continually evolving, of course, and getting stronger, you have to picture what the future is going to look like for that vision. And if you tie that with purpose and passion every single day, and sometimes, like I said, you will have distractions. If you can do that, then you know that you're well on your way. So one of the main things I wanted to stress, and I'm sure Cornel will agree with me, your attitude is everything. Having a good attitude or a poor attitude determines how you move forward in life. So continually being grateful and thankful. And I'll tell you why. Sometimes it's also good, not sometimes, always, to reflect, go back. Not about past hurts or past conditions that may have seemingly kept you back, but it's good to reflect from where you were to where you are. Because sometimes we look at the bigger things and we look at the things that we don't have, the lack. But if you go back to give thanks from where you are, look at where you were a year before, 5 years before, 10 years before. See the growth that you've had. Sometimes we feel stagnant. That can happen to everybody. But if you continually have an attitude of gratitude, nothing can keep you down. The reason I say that is that sometimes when we go through hardship, 3 years ago, I was transitioned from my job after 18 years. And when I left the parking lot of my employer in the car, I said, thank you, because that company provided me an income for 18 years. And it gave me a level of growth and experience that I could not have gotten at another corporation, because that I was needed in that location at that time. So, and that's where I met my husband. And we're now celebrating almost 10 years. So gratitude is very important. Whether you have a sale of 1 box of coffee, a sachet of coffee, or you met someone and you share the health, or you share the testimony, or if you met someone, you gave them a kind word, or you're looking for ways to continue to be in the state of gratitude, you will find that your disposition will change. The way you look at things will change. Even if you write down things that you're grateful for. I'm going to give a challenge to each and every one of you. In your Facebook, in your comments, mention 1 thing or 2 things that you're grateful for. And if you can do that every single day, then you can continually add to that and challenge yourself every day to write at least 10 to 20 things that you're grateful for. Right?
Yes.
You have breath, you have life, you can see, you can hear. For those of you can. You have family, you have friends, you have love, you have many things, and there are things that we take for granted that you must continually be in that state of gratitude. And when you do that, it allows you to press forward courageously. And if you do that, doors will open. And if you do that, you will impact more lives and you will continue to add value.
Yeah.
Yep.
And just to share with you, we have a distributor in our organization that's he's he's paralyzed from the waist down. He was a victim of crime. He was robbed and shot and left for dead. And he still has a bullet lodged against his spine that they cannot remove. Sharing, when I heard that news and I went and I visited him and I shared with him, he's not a coffee drinker, but he loves the hot chocolate. But it was his attitude that shocked me, because growing up, we called him Smiley because he was always smiling.
Yeah.
And he still has that same beautiful smile on his face, even though he was, robbed and shot. And for me, that's just, to show you the type of person he is, right? He's thankful that he's not 6 feet 6 inches under. So he has a gratitude towards the fact that he's still alive and able to see his children, to see his parents, to see his grandmother. And those are the things that, you have to look back on and say, you know what? I don't think anything in my life that could have brought me to that place that I would be still smiling and happy to see people and to be able to have that gratitude of life itself.
Very true. And so there are individuals in our life that we have met through, life circumstances, and there are people that we have not even met but spoken over the phone through this business. And so to be able to add value is important. And when you do that, you can see the trickle effect. Like you're looking at not just having an attitude of gratitude, you actually are grateful. And so people will sense that and see that. So when you connect with people, you actually connect with like-minded people. And over time, you're sorting and sifting, who you're going to align yourself with and the energy that you're bringing to the table. And so your attitude about your life and how much gratitude you show on a daily basis, it will greatly impact your success. So think of it this way. If you're grateful for your health and you consciously make decisions to make healthier choices, you'll become healthier. If you have a mindset that always thinking that everything is going to be, fear-based in the sense where everything is going to cause you to be unhealthy. I mean, there are things out there that can do that. But if you consciously think of that way, you make healthier choices like what we did. We switched our brand of beverages. And so I'm going to share with you my testimony. One of my testimony was I've had seasonal allergies for 21 years. I came here to this country, I was 19 years old just the other day. But for 21 years, I had seasonal allergies, and that was like 9 months out of the year. I just switched my brand. And I noticed that my allergies didn't trigger. So do you think that I made a healthier choice? Yes, I did. It's now 80 years, and I have no antihistamines in my body. I don't like taking pills, first of all. But I love the fact that I just switched my brand, and I noticed that, my voice didn't sound like a guy anymore. I didn't have the ears and throat and eyes. So these are things I'm so grateful for. But also grateful that I met my husband. I'm grateful that I have my family. I'm grateful for so many things. And so we have, an evolving state of gratitude, and especially people that we meet. We have a great group of friends here in Toronto that we meet every Wednesday. And in that, the energy there is so awesome. And so we're very thankful for that. So you attract the people in your life that you align with to continually be in the state of gratitude, right?
Just a shout out to the OG and the 6.
Yes, hi. All right, so the more you're grateful, the faster your success. And the success is not determined by how others succeed, but determined at the level that you push yourself forward to. So I love this quote. It's not ours, but what you focus on expands. You focus on gossip, you focus on negativity, you focus on, what's happening wrong in the world, that's what you attract. And the more you attract that, the more it becomes like a snowball and it just gets out of control. But what if you were just to recognize these things in this world, but not focus on those things and focus on what you can control?
Yeah.
Focus what you put into your body. Focus what you put into your mind. I always say that, if you're listening to someone who's always negative, I would challenge you to not rent any space to them in your mind. Do not rent space in your mind to allow those things to stay there, because that is what you will regurgitate and that is what you will live your life by. So what you focus on expands. If you decide you want to add value to people, then you get the opportunity, right?
Yeah.
And if you want to be able to build your business by sharing with like-minded individuals, then you will evolve into a bigger business. So Organo has evolved. Yes, Organo has allowed us to be able to evolve as well. We go to events. We don't miss those. I've never missed an event. Have you?
I missed the event you went to in to Rome.
Oh yes, I took my mother, by the way. So, but for me, those things are priceless.
But I was in Nigeria.
Yes, you
so
are.
That was a great opportunity. And Organo provided that opportunity, to expand beyond our borders. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, it's great to expand beyond your borders, but it's also a blessing to be able to expand just in your neighborhood, in your town, in your village, in the metropolis area, if you're, where you're at. I wouldn't suggest everyone to focus on looking outbound. Look within yourself first, expand your mind, and then things will happen.
Awesome. So one of the things that we have learned through Organo, it's not just a company that have different verticals. It's a company that you foster an environment that allows you to grow beyond your current state, who you are as a person. And so we challenge ourselves, because when you look at your current life as to the things that you have continually done to get the results you have currently, some of us do not invest the time in ourselves. We invest in time in our family. We invest the time in our workplace, in our place of worship, and sometimes we leave ourselves for last. I just had this conversation yesterday with a young lady, especially women. Women in our society are taught to be sacrificial lambs, that we leave ourselves for last, and we do not invest the time in ourselves. And so we look after everyone and we leave ourselves for last. So what you've done is depleted your emotional bank account, and there's nothing for you to be able to invest into other people, because you're empty, because you don't have that ability to come back into that stable place that you can continue to give more. So the success stories I want to share with you, what we want to share with you, is to get into the habit of listening to audiobooks, into reading books. Now, I have a challenge. When I start reading books, sometimes I fall asleep, right? But audiobooks are awesome for me. So what works for you, whatever floats your boat, right? So
I have better retention reading, so
for me, it's audiobooks. So I'm addicted to audiobooks, and these are all personal development. And this is because of Organo. I'm going to give them the credit, the company, because by going to these events that are put on by Organo, we were able to challenge ourselves to do some of the things that I'm listing out here with Cornel and I. If you read books, you're investing into yourself. You can go to the gym and listen to your audio, watch you taking care of your daily routine. If you're driving, that's your University on Wheels. We've done that many times. And so even when we're cooking, Cornel and I are listening to audiobooks. Right, so we grow together, we develop together. And so this is actually a great tip for you and your team as well, if you want to do that with them. And so meditating is something that is very good. I started doing that 4 years ago. We've actually loved how we've grown through that. I wanted to stress on the strongholds. And so the strongholds are basically things of your past. Sometimes we don't realize what these strongholds are.
And they can be very heavy luggages we're carrying.
Yes. Sometimes it's unforgiveness. Sometimes it's the pain or the hurt of the past. You may
have relationships.
Yes, past relationships.
Both in personal and business.
Yes, it could be failed businesses, or you may have had an idea, you started working on it, and it seemingly failed. And so that could be something that could be holding you back from moving forward with your business, or what other area in your life that you want to excel at. So what are the strongholds? Do you know what they are? Have you identified what they are? Sometimes it's something that could cause you to be fearful, or you may seemingly not be courageous to move forward, but subconsciously there are things that will hold you back. Is it fear of success? Is fear of judgment, being criticized by your family? These are things that can hold you back, strongholds. And you have to identify these things, because if you take accountability for these things, there's no need to look outside of yourself to be able to move forward. And when doing that, I have actually identified, and so has Cornel, and we have talked about it. And so as you continually learn and grow through personal development, these are the things that will come to mind. My dream building is another thing as well.
Yeah.
So
I'm not too good at dream building in the sense of cutting things out and putting it and pasting it on the wall or putting sticky all over the rooms.
that's me.
But I do have a lot of stuff on my computer, and I use them as screensavers that pops up back and forth. And one of the, the dreaming, I love looking at architects, architecture, homes. So that is one of my things that I have. I have a folder, and every so often it just, my screensaver shows different homes, different things. I'm not into cars. I'm not a regular guy that looks at cars and say, wow, I want this and that. But I do dream build.
Yeah.
And a lot of my dream building is based around people. I want to see the people in my life, achieve certain things, acquire certain things. And that's what I dream about. That's my dream building. Seeing my parents, Kerry Ann's mom, being able to see them retire and living comfortable, that is what my dream building is all about.
So dream building, I give you an example. We have qualified for the OD Getaway for several times now. And so we're very thankful and grateful for Organo. And we have been in awe of the amazing events they've put together so that we can enjoy. I know we went, the last one was in Boca Raton in Florida, and we had a blast. I felt like royalty, and I ate to my heart's content. And there's a particular fish called mai mai, which in my family, where they live in Dominica, that's the main fish. So when I saw mai mai, it was wow. But for me, the dream building was seeing the vision of staying qualified every single month, doing what we had to do, making sure we did the activities that Organo is encouraging us to do, and Organo is rewarding us with that. So what did we do?
We just did what to succeed in our business. We just did the normal daily activities.
Yeah.
Meet people, share the vision, share the coffee, stayed qualified.
Yeah.
That was important. Since the Star Achiever program began, we've been qualified every single month.
77 months strong.
So, we don't say that just to say, for say's sake. We encourage people to stay qualified because a lot of the incentives in the past was based on our qualifications.
Yeah, so one of the things that we did, well, I did, and he mentioned the cutting and the pasting and sticky notes, that's me. So we have in our bedroom, we have, well, I do, we have pictures every time there's an OD Getaway incentive, pictures of the room and pictures of the scenery of where we want to go. And so every single time that we did that, it's not just to put it up and to look at it, but to do the work with it. And so every time we did that, we were qualified. And I'll tell you something, when we went on the Oasis of the Sea, I took a picture of the actual room with the cover, the color, the picture, everything, the balcony, everything. And when we qualified and we got to the room, it was identical. I got goosebumps because I had on my computer screensaver. So knowing that you have the ability to dream build and to do the work and come to fruition, everyone is able to do that. So that's one of the things you can do to be successful in small ways by taking the activities and aligning it with your vision. And gratefulness, we talked about that before.
And also journaling is more or less, something that a lot of people are doing. I'm not so good at that as well. And I'm actually trying to be as, as forthcoming as possible because, honesty is very key in anything we do.
Yes.
Right. We have to be truthful to ourselves because we can't be truthful to ourselves. We can't be truthful to others.
Yes.
So journalism is not something I love doing. I'd write things down, point form. But I won't do an extensive daily journal or anything. And my wife, since I met her, she still has books that 20 years ago, her journals.
Okay, right? So I'm like Oprah. I have like my journals like from way back when in my 20s. The reason I do that, it actually allowed me to go back and check some of my journals to see my level of growth. And so what I want to challenge you to do is if you're not a writer, maybe you can do an audio, get a voice recorder and just say, a few things that you'd like to have in your journal. And if you're a writer like me, I'm not a writer, but if you like to write and scribble, then I challenge you, start with one page, maybe two or three tops. First thing in the morning, as you open up your eyes and you say, thank you for, you're able to see and able to get up. The gratitude from your lips, from your heart, it's felt. The universe picks that up. God picks that up and he sees that. And then if you write in that journal, you can even have a journal of gratitude, or you can have a journal of complaining if you want to. So I'll share with you my story. When it was my 20s, my level of growth evolved to now in my 40s. But when I look back at my journal from my 20s, I was always complaining in my journal. And it evolved now to always being grateful, no matter the circumstance. So if you can transition from the mindset and put it on paper, it cements it. So for those of you who can write in journals, great, even if it's one page or a little cue card or an audio, right?
Yeah.
Product of the environment, I want to stress on that. Product of your environment is you. You are the product of your environment. The energy that you bring into a home or a place of business or a place of work, into a group, you are the product of the environment. You can determine the energy you bring in. Whether you're speaking to a potential customer, a potential business partner, whether the person says yes or no to you, it shouldn't change your state. How you think and how you act in an environment is defining on you, what you say. Do you gossip a lot? Do you tend to complain a lot? Do you tend to give praise a lot? Do you always, if you find something to compliment on, these are the things. You are the products. You are a representation of you. And as you also are an extension of Organo, think of yourself as a brand ambassador. Whether you have a cup of coffee, it's Organo. Whether you're taking a shake, it's Organo. Whether you have a face like me, I be you. Right?
Yes, me too.
Him too, yes. Right? So you are part of your environment because you are like a walking billboard. What you see out of your mouth, what you do, the attitude you have, the things you say in front of someone or you say behind of them should be the same thing. Consistency, right? Mm-hmm. And so here's another few things, blame versus accountability. Yeah. Get your take on that.
Well, a lot of us, we tend to, when things are not working in our favor, we tend to want to point the finger at someone else. This is not my fault. So, we tend to do that a lot. And, it's bad for me as a business person. It's bad to blame others for things that you you have control over, right? For me, a lot of times when I look at things and before I say something, I actually analyze the situation. I look at it from as much angles as I can to see exactly where my input was. If I was wrong, I'm accountable for that situation. I'm not going to look to blame someone for something that I had 100% control over. And everything we do, we have control over. What we say, what we do, it's on us. So for me, blame versus accountability is something that, I'm the one that's stressed a lot on. There's no need to blame anyone. There's no need to point the finger at anyone. Take accountability all the time for any action or what you do or what you say.
Yes, and so I'm also going to direct this to your business of Organo. Think of it this way. You've seen the opportunity, or you're a customer, and you have started your business. Now we know that in this business of the direct sales or network marketing, we have people who introduce the business to us, and we decide to move forward. Now, we don't have, bosses, but we are our own boss. And sometimes, things may get shuffled or a misunderstanding may happen, or you may think you don't have the support you need. But the accountability comes on you. You need to be able to educate yourself. There's a lot of information out there right now that allows you to be able to grow with personal development. Yeah. There's a lot of information that Organo has put out in social media. There's training on the My OG Academy. There's so much information. There's yearly events that you can go to and plug in, but some people choose not to. And so if you choose not to educate yourself, in addition to building your business or plugging into your weekly meetings or plugging into your person who introduced you to the business, they may have moved on to other pastures, but it's your responsibility to be able to build your business. Those around you who provide support, but they cannot be your boss. They cannot be your manager. That's a job mentality. If you take accountability for that, and I'll share that with you, in our growing process, we're still growing with Organo. I actually, at one point, kept pointing my finger at Cornell. What are you doing? Have you sampled anyone today? What was I doing? Asking him, not doing. So I realized that
she was managing me.
Yes, I was. But I came out of that management mode. And so a wise person told us, and that was Dr. Harry Benjamin. He said, to me, you have to be accountable. And so from hearing that, I said to myself, I have to be accountable. Whatever I say, I have to do. And so the same thing, we actually have conversations back and forth, right?
Yes.
And in saying that, I don't look to him to be able to say, I'm going to go out and share some coffee or call someone or set up a presentation or to be able to do workshop and vice versa, right?
Yeah,
so it's important not to blame.
It's not to blame and be accountable, but also I'm not looking at her to rescue me and she's not looking at me to rescue her.
Correct.
We're accountable for our success. And I use the word our because it's our business. So we're driving forward to make sure our business moves forward. Moving to the next, vision. How many times do you do visualization? And we shared that with you, that we do that, through our dream building and through through her journals, right?
And meditation.
And through meditation. Stress, is another thing that I noticed the last few days. There's been a lot of stressful activity worldwide, and a lot of people are stressed out over that. And for me, in my religious, in my spiritual time today, people kept coming to us and say, well, the church should have canceled service and this and that. And I always say, fear cannot exist with faith. Faith and fear cannot coexist together. So you have to choose which one of the, which side of the fence you're on.
Correct.
So for me, it's, knowing that whatever I focus on and think of is going to manifest itself in my mind and it's going to grow. So when I'm looking at, fight or flight, is the same thing, right? People are out there stressing over this and putting their health at risk because when you're stressed out, your immune system gets the blunt of it. Organo is a great opportunity, as I said, from my side, it's a great way of building up your immune system or supporting your immune system because of the Ganoderma.
Well, I want to share something with Cornell. So one of the things to flight or fight, we've had challenges. Everyone does, sometimes it's financial or sometimes it's family or sometimes it's death. And so we can always be in flight mode. But if you're in flight mode all the time, thinking, worrying, being fearful, you don't give yourself that opportunity to become creative. And once you're able to balance that, you will find that your creative juices, especially around your business, can actually evolve. And so I want to share that part about the fear. So when Cornell had an opportunity to go to Nigeria, first time, married a few years, and we made the decision, and he went and was there for 6 months. And his background of his health was that he's severely allergic to shellfish. He can die. And so, of course, being the dutiful wife, made sure he went with his EpiPen, gave him his coffee, his capsule, all of that. And unknowingly, not knowing the culture for Nigeria, especially with the preparation of the foods that were supposed to be vegetarian, the culture is to use ground up crayfish as a seasoning, and it's not considered seafood. And so unknowingly, whilst he's drinking his coffee and continually conducting business, eating that for a couple of months.
Yeah.
And had no adverse reaction. Now we're stressing the Ganoderma. the herb, that magic, I can't say magic mushroom. So basically reishi, Ganoderma lucida, was the saving grace, because even the EpiPen couldn't have helped him, because the EpiPen was not on him. It was in his hotel. So hearing that, you know, knowing that it's the first time he's in the continent of Africa, and that could have happened when he could have passed. I couldn't put a value on that. So I'm super, super thankful that we had these amazing healthy options that could support his immune system. And so for that, that's another big why for me, because you cannot replace the life of a loved one. You cannot replace the life if it's jeopardized, and you know that it's priceless, right?
Yeah. And segueing into that, the comfort zone. I had to get out of my comfort zone to go someplace where I've never been before.
Yeah.
I'm from Jamaica originally, and I grew up here in Canada. So most of my life was spent here in Canada. So going to another continent, to another country other than the US or back to Jamaica was outside of my comfort zone. But success lies outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And I stress that. Right?
So I just want to move on to this part. One of the key things that you want to look at when you're looking at achieving success in every part of your life, you have to learn how to forgive, to let go of the past, strongholds, as we mentioned before. They may be past relationships, those that hurt you, people who may have criticized you for your business, those who have turned up their nose because you've joined one of those businesses, or an employee who've let you go, or even your current employer who you're not satisfied with. Even yourself, we can be the most judgmental, critical of ourselves. Even we judge ourselves based on our past experience, and we don't move forward. And also we judge others, especially if you see that someone is successful, you tend to judge them. Or if you see that the person is doing something that you tend to not agree with, you tend to judge. So automatically we judge a person within the first 3-4 seconds of meeting them. We judge ourselves. We sometimes allow ourselves to be held back. And these are all strongholds. Blaming versus accountability. And of course, we mentioned that before, but past successes as well. You've succeeded in one area and you become comfortable in that, and you do not move forward. But that's also a process of growing, because you identify where you are and how you can move forward, right?
Yes.
So this little part here, I just wanted to quote, you either walk inside your story and own it, or you can stand outside your story and you can hustle for your worthiness. And the reason that we share this is that some of us don't think we're worthy to succeed. Some of us don't think that we're worthy to be able to have the life that we desire and we see the vision for. And so we stay outside, and we become the observers of our life instead of being the doer and the active person in our life.
And the builder.
And the builder of our life. Yeah. So we hustle on our job. We hustle to go to work. We hustle to come back. We hustle to do this. And we don't take the time to be able to walk in your story and to define who you are and align yourself with your purpose, the intention for your life. And we become just the observer. So worthiness is very important, right?
Yes, it is.
So if you talk about comfort zone.
Well, comfort zone. A lot of us, we have a defined space in our life that we say we're in our comfort zone. Some of us is our job. We're comfortable at not receiving the worth that we our value. The value that we place on ourselves is different than the value others will place on you, right? So for me, it was the fact that when I got into Organo, there was a lot of things that I had to do. I'm traditionally not a speaker. My wife said I can be talkative when I'm talking numbers. I'm comfortable when I'm talking numbers, right? Because that was my profession as an analyst. I looked at numbers, pulled numbers out of my database, analyze it, could talk about what the numbers are doing. But speaking in front of a crowd about an opportunity was not something that I was, comfortable doing, but I had to do it. The first time I did it, I was nervous. I must have said a million different things. I couldn't remember what I was saying. I felt like I was floating, but I did it anyway. Yeah. I came home and I did it in front of the mirror. We did it in front of each other. Yeah. Our first Organo presentation, no one showed up. We invited people, no one showed up.
We practice.
It was okay. We still did our three-way with our upline, and he said, great, no one showed up, practice. Yeah. We did exactly that. We just followed what he said. He said, practice, we practice.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's a saying that the person who holds the marker makes the most money, right?
Yeah.
So if you were presenting in front of a mirror and you're looking at yourself, you are the presenter, so you hold the marker. So one of the things that we do, we look for our upline to do all the work in the sense of presenting, and then you be able to invite because that's your comfort zone. So what we did is we practiced presenting, and then we gave each other feedback. And so we like to say the word that there's something in your presentation, and Cornel will say, well, there's something I'd love to gift you with. I'm going to gift you this piece of advice.
We don't use the word, I like to correct you or do anything like, we don't use that.
Yeah, we say gift.
Because that can create a barrier. Mm-hmm. So for me, I basically, let me gift you with something.
Yeah.
Because we all love presents. So if I give you a gift, you're most likely going to open it and see what it is.
And then, so normally I would say, thank you for that gift. I receive it.
And if someone is trying to gift you something that you don't like, return it to them unopened.
That's right. But yes, I have a saying, if someone's critical of you, right, and if you are becoming defensive and you do not receive that, these are the words that I've come to say. The gift you are trying to give me, I return it to you unopened. That means that whatever critical, judgmental, conversations that you're having directed toward me, I do not receive it. And so that's something we've actually had over the years in just saying, because it's important to guard your mind, guard your heart, right?
Yeah.
So this part I wanted to expand on.
Yep.
Purpose.
So when you look at these, your passion, the mission, the profession, and the vocation that exists within Organo, the world need Organo, mm-hmm. right? It's given. It's coffee. It's tea, it's hot chocolate, it's, travel, it's beauty, it's everything. It's a lifestyle. How do you become great at it? You practice.
That's right.
Right? You have to have a passion, which is your love. You have to have a passion. Our passion is, I'm passionate about the money aspect and also the health. My wife is more passionate about the health because that is what tied her to Organo, mm-hmm. right? And we get paid for doing what we're doing, right? So these are all the things that move to, towards that centerpiece, which is the purpose. You're moving down that funnel towards the bullseye, which is the purpose, why you're doing what mm-hmm. you're doing.
And if you look at this presentation, this actually defines Organo.
Yeah.
Organo has passion. There's a mission, there's a profession, there's vocation, the world. All of these things are tied to Organo. And so if you tie yourself to that, it's a win-win, right?
Yeah.
So it's amazing that when you peer yourself and align yourself with things, it's important. I want to talk about the comfort zone a little bit more. Most of us are in the comfort zone and we don't realize it. We're uncomfortable in the comfort zone, but yet we don't want to leave. It's like, a bear or an animal with a thorn in its paw. It's painful, but they will not want it removed because they become defensive. So if you look at the comfort zone, it shifts. If you allow yourself to shift from comfort to fear zone to learning zone, growth zone, knowing that it's a process, you will be able to evolve as a person. You are becoming a better version of yourself every single day if you're conscious of where you are in that comfort zone, because you are only confined by the walls that you build around yourself.
Yeah, there's a quote by Albert Einstein: "No problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it." And that is something that draws a lot of attention. I have it on my business card, and that is something that draws a lot of attention when people read that, because you have to develop, you have to grow, mm-hmm. because where the problem lies is where we have an existing issue and we try to solve it at the same mindset that created it.
And that's why it's important to stay plugged in. Stay plugged into the mentorship calls, stay plugged into the conversational success, stay plugged into the meetings that are held in your area, stay plugged into the events that are being held with Organo so that you can learn and grow, so you can have that shift. And the shift happens in different stages for everyone. It's a process. So we ask you to challenge yourself by looking at this presentation, this slide, to define where you are on this step to success. Is it in your mind's I can't, I want to, how do I'll try, I can do it, or I will do. These are defined. You have to identify where you are in order to move forward. This actually allowed us to be able to identify where we are, and allowed, if you have teams who have different stages of growth, this would be a great way to do a check and balance. And so in saying that, in 2017, when I was transitioned, I knew about this change, the shift in the industry from full-timers to contractors, because I worked in IT, worked several years as a project lead, and seeing that there was an 80-20 balance of, well, not a balance, but 80% of the workforce was contractors and 20% were full-timers, and I was a full-timer for 18 years. And so the shift happened, you could see it happening, and sometimes we see the shift happening and we do not move. We don't take the action. So either change happens to you or you make change happen. So thankfully, 8 years ago, we had a second source of income.
Yeah.
And by default, we started selling products, right? So in doing that, we built our business, and most people don't have the ability to do that. So in looking at this option, think of Organo. We have different verticals, right?
Yeah.
This is part of our platform. But these are different verticals that you can actually partake in. And so in doing that, we're able to tap into multiple sources. How many franchises do you have where you have the ability to invest in one franchise? We have multiple versions here that we can tap into, right? And so for us, we've been able to utilize all.
Yeah.
So in saying that, think of it, residual income.
Yeah.
Can you do that at your regular job?
No.
No, you can't, right? Right. So we presented this slide to you because this actually is a true statement in a way of we're living proof of this. Because you can have investments and look at the continuation of the fear-based market have impacted the stock market, and things have gone down. And whereas we have been able to build our business and continually make income through Organo.
Yeah.
It hasn't been impacted because of that. So welcome to success.
Thank you.
We have to enjoy the journey. All the different types of situations that are happening in our lives, we have to be able to see where we are, celebrate those moments, and to be able to appreciate every step and every stage.
Yes,
right?
You can.
I also wanted to identify, before we wrap up this call, we want to take the time to thank all of those who've had a role in allowing us to be able to build our business, to grow, and especially Organo, the head office, have been amazing. And we want to also make an announcement. And that announcement is for the Monday calls. The Monday calls with Mr. Paul Caldwell. Sorry, he's our chairman of Organo, and so I want to give a gentle reminder to all of you to plug in. It's an amazing call every Monday. He's invested the time to be able to share updates and to give us tidbits of nuggets. And these are valuable information that he's always sharing. We've had the opportunity to meet with him. He's a kind-hearted person. What you see is what you get. And so for me, I love the fact that he's transparent. And so plugging into this is very important. Go to the My OG Academy. There's information there that you can register. You can invite your team to do that. And where you can, this will give you the opportunity to learn what updates need to be, it will impact your business.
And right now we need you need to have the pulse on your business.
Yeah.
So understanding what's happening in the marketplace, happening in your business, will greatly, impact your results going forward as well.
Correct. So keep in mind, give yourself a reminder, check on your phone. It's, I think it's 1:30 CST time. On Mondays, don't miss it. It's very important that you plug in. And so with that, we want to again give this platform a thank you. Everyone who's joined, you could have done anything else. You could have chosen to be anywhere else, but you chose to plug in and to learn and to grow. And the most important thing for us as a team is to add value. And so we hope we did that for you. And we thank you for taking the time. Have a blessed evening, each and every one of you. God bless.
To your success.
To your success.